So, hey, what we're going to do is just jump right into this, and it is nice to be with you all. I mean it sincerely. What we're looking at today is sphere of influence. A lot of times people say, I just don't know anybody. All my friends are, they're in Chi Alpha, but there's actually a greater sphere of influence than you know of that you have. I didn't know that, for instance, that I was influencing my next door neighbor negatively by leaving up a really nasty fence that now I'm taking down. And every section I take down, they're becoming nicer and nicer to me. You know what I mean? And so there's people that we're influencing, and we may not even know it, and they're in our sphere of influence. So this exercise is going to kind of help us to come up with kind of some ideas of where we're at. So look at step one. On your own, we're going to take 10 minutes with this. List all the people you intentionally spend an hour with on a weekly basis. Remember what you learned about making disciples from last night's excellent teaching. There are 3 types of people you should be influencing. Non-Christians, those who are fat, faithful, available, teachable, discipleship, and everyone else in the sense of pastoral care. There was a while that I was intentionally spending a designated hour with a guy named Josh, who was a servant of the Lord, and we met to play Halo every week for an hour on purpose, because that's the one thing we had in common. He taught me how to play Halo. He beat me every week. But Josh eventually became a believer and spent time with him. So anyway, what I'd like you to do is take 10 minutes. So that would be at the 33 mark, and you're going to write down on a list for 10 minutes all the people that are in that one of those 3 areas. Are you ready?
Well, you have to do all of step 1.
I'm so sorry.
Which is all be on your own. It's step 1, 2, 3.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. Okay, so let's look at step 2. Potential sphere of influence. List all the people by name you don't hang out with already, could intentionally spend an hour a week with. You want to do that all together, right? Okay, I was going to do it separately. If you want to do it all together, it's okay.
Well, it won't take them 10 minutes to do that.
Okay, let's just do the first section first, okay? So let's just take 4 minutes, ready, set, go. Who do you spend an hour a week with intentionally? We've got a workout buddy, whatever. Let's do that first. Otherwise it gets all meshed. So the actual is what we just did. These are the people that you are knowingly spending time with, you're purposefully spending time. How many of you have a workout buddy? So you go run with or walk with. Study buddy, study partner. Anybody? How many of you need a study partner? Okay, so good. So these are people you're intentionally hanging with. How many would say, I don't have anyone that I intentionally hang with on a regular basis? Anybody? Okay. Yeah. All right, so step 2, potential sphere of influence. List all the people by name. If you don't know their full name, that's okay. By name that you don't hang out with already, but you could intentionally spend an hour a week with. So think broadly. Don't forget freshmen and international students. Also think about fraternities, sororities, artists, neighbors. How many of you live in an apartment? You don't live in a dorm, you live in an apartment, even if it's just for the summer. So any neighbor that you are sharing a fence with, or a neighbor in your apartment block, that's someone potentially that is in your sphere of influence. We're going to take a little bit more time with this, because this is where you need to name storm. You're doing this on your own, but I'm okay if you need to talk a little bit with somebody to get some ideas, that's fine. So we're going to take this until 25 till. Okay, so you got about 12 minutes. Ready? Steady. Go. Okay. So let's just hear. I'd like us to kind of help the room here, because maybe it'll jog some other ideas. What were the kinds of people? You don't have to tell their names, but what are the kinds of people that you kind of name stormed or brainstormed right in your sphere of influence that you don't right now intentionally spend an hour with, but like, yeah, I guess they are in my sphere of influence. So let's start at this table here. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I have a lot of friends that either went to this school or I grew up with, like in my hometown. So
Okay.
like, I'm not face to face to them a lot, but I like talk to them on Facebook or I talk to them like on the phone or whatever. So like in that way, like the communication, calling them.
Okay. Do you see them ever? Are you ever physically in the same room with them anymore?
Some of them online, but it depends on
Right. So it could be possible.
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Somebody else over at this table? Kinds of people?
People like I got my hand and all people.
Okay,
Or if you
nice.
that's a very good place in her like and then actually old friends that I wasn't a good friend to.
Hmm.
And since I changed I want to go back
No, it's
radically changed me, so it's not terrible. Old friends.
That's cool. All right, let's go back to that table, the EIU table, Eastern Illinois University, right? So, could you start us off? What were some kind of categories of people or whatever that was brainstormed out?
Well, one of the big ones I'd say is probably the international. We don't really have a Christian group that reaches out to them, and so we can make a bigger effort to do that. Another big forgotten group on our campus is the fraternities and sororities, which can seem kind of hard to get to sometimes because they tend to be really cliquey.
Okay.
But just pray for one to sit next to me in class or something.
All right.
And also, I think a big one that I feel like I've been leading to is the faculty and staff on campus.
Okay.
Those are the big groups.
Super. All right. We'll go to the table of two right back here. That's you guys.
I said like my coworkers, just definitely have to be there to work. You're not really like.
Not really what?
So you're not really like hanging out with them.
Okay. Where do you work at?
Pick and say.
Okay, great. So there might be some break times or something like that. You guys can grab a Coke. Is it possible?
No, 15 minutes.
Sure. Right, okay. But it would be possible, and then we'd be intentional, maybe not an hour, but with 15 minutes. Okay, good. All right. How about you guys? You all. Sorry. Tiffany, be brave. Why don't you start?
Well, I just moved to town, and so it's not like, and I work, in the office, and then we go home. So really, like the only people right now that I have a sphere of influence are those who live in my apartment complex.
Okay.
And it would be, moving. They're more in the stage of, I believe, of they don't even trust Christians at this point, I think, and so it's more like we just like try to talk to them and play with their kids while we're walking around and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And so there's potentially 30 people, 40 people in
Yeah,
that?
something like that, yeah.
Okay, kind of a U shape, which is kind of interesting, kind of could foster some community.
Right,
or
yeah,
picnic
yeah.
or something. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Okay. And how many of you had some surprise thoughts? Like, man, I just never thought about that person or them. Yeah, who was a surprise thought?
So back in May, I went to a concert in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And I was by myself because no one else was with me. It was a love show. And so I'm standing in line and I met like these three people. I think two of them were still in high school and the other one like was just kind of in between college and high school or whatever. And we ended up like talking and like sort of becoming friends, I guess. And then so we had each other's numbers and like just randomly it was like, oh yeah, he's the one I could be and whatever. Like even though we only met once, like I mean we texted each other and
Okay.
you know, so
Good. No, that's good. How many of you Facebook is still a very significant part of your world? More than just you check to see what people are saying about you, or when you get tagged, by it. Like I communicate with people regularly, same 6 to 8 people through Facebook. Anybody? Okay. How many of you that used to be the truth, it's not the truth anymore? That's interesting. Yeah, okay. Okay, so before we go to the next section, here's something to think about. No one likes to be lumped together with other people. No one likes to be categorized. And I think sometimes, especially in a university setting, we have to be careful that we don't think in terms of, here's a note from you. Okay. That we don't think in terms of here's this group of people, like international students, for example. So you guys on this campus have 100 international students, but are all 100 of those people the same, have similar interests, have similar political backgrounds, beliefs, whatever? And the answer would be a big fat, no, right? But we tend to think, well, international students, no one's reaching that group, but really a group is made up of subgroups, right? So maybe an interesting thing to do here, or you is, hey, what are the top 5 sending countries, for instance? And get to and say, okay, so I'm going to focus in on those. At one time at Eastern Michigan, there were 20. There was 90-some people from Japan. So that's a big number, but that's still a lot smaller than 1,200 internationals. You know what I mean? You get targeted kind of
One
thing.
of the 100 internationals, 25 are Chinese here.
So that's good. So that's really good. So to find that out and then say, hey, and in that group, how could I be intentional to meet with this one Chinese person that is in my class? Same with fraternities and sororities. Okay, now look at your table. Look at the next page 7. What has kept you from building relationships with those in your potential sphere of influence? Just going to take a couple of minutes about this, just a couple of minutes, and then just write down 1 or 2 things. Ready, set, go. Okay. So it can be hard sometimes to see the people that we are interacting with because we're focused on the people that we think we're interacting with. You know what I'm saying? And so if you look at, sorry, I'm going to get my eyeballs out here. Step 4, how can you connect relationally with people in your potential sphere of influence? What will you need to change? This is more, we're out of time, but this is the kind of thing that would be really good. Maybe put a star next to that and at a break, write down 1 or 2 things that you need to change. Who could participate in this with you? Maybe you work out and you realize, man, if I go at 2 o'clock, I see the same gal on this Treadmaster next to me. Well, maybe I could, make a decision to go there if I'm a lady. To go there, at 2 o'clock, just be there at 2 o'clock and maybe build a relationship. If I'm a guy, weightlifting, or if it's, whatever else. What are you going to need to do? What do you need to change? Step 5, take an inventory of your sphere of influence. You can read it. It's a good indicator of the health of your Christian life. This is seen in 4 areas. 1, a different focus, being focused on the things that Christ is focused on. 2, a consistent lifestyle, living your life the same way every day before people. 3, a proactive initiative, making a priority of doing things that you want to do, instead of kind of like letting life just rule you and run you. And then 4, a spirit-led life, allowing God's Spirit to lead you in both word and action. And here's the big rhetorical question. What does your actual sphere of influence say about the health of your Christian life as you look at these 4 areas? Jesus was about spending time with all kinds of people. Yeah, the disciples, the 3, but he was also about spending time with pagans. He was with people who didn't know him, who weren't in the family yet. And he was very intentional about it. Think about this. Jesus could have gotten a really cool building and asked and waited for people to come to him. But we see Jesus doing what in Scripture? He's always going somewhere. He's always walking. He's, hey, now we're going to go over here. Now we're going to go over here. A lot of times that maybe had a destination in mind, but the bigger thing is, as you look at the Scripture, you see that Jesus was encountering people on the road. Is that right? Right? Where did he have an appointment with Zacchaeus? You guys know who Zacchaeus is? Right?
He was a wee little man.
Right. And a wee little man was he. But anyway, he was walking along and there's a guy. Or he's walking along and someone touches the hem of his garment. He was out with people. He was intentionally out with people. And that's when those kind of things happen. And here, we need to give this lady a hand as she brings a microphone stand. Let's give her a large hand. Thanks, Jen. We are very grateful for that. Thank you. Okay, hey, we're going to stand up and take a 5-minute quick break. And then we'll come back. Let's make it 4. Let's see, my time is up. It's so good. All right, you got 4 minutes. Ready, steady, go.